Hi everyone, welcome to They Had Fun. I'm Rachel and I am back with another amazing story about New York City. And it is already the end of season 4. That's right, we are at episode 12. They grow up so fast, don't they, guys? That's me. I am growing up on this very podcast. So as you know, we will be coming back for season 5. Do not be too worried. But this is the end of this one and we're just going to keep going. Like, I genuinely so much enjoy making this show, talking to just New Yorkers are unbelievable. You know, they really are. Every time I talk to someone about this show, I'm like, I'm so impressed with everyone I have on the show. New Yorkers are so fucking cool. They always bring it and they're just the greatest people. So yeah, I love my own show. What can I say? I think my very own podcast is great. Okay, here we go. Considering that we have the new season coming up and all of this, I've got to get out a bunch of announcements we have. Then we're going to get into Rachel's Recs, but let's just go ahead and get all these started. Okay, as you know, today is the end of season 4. But if you're thinking, Rachel, what am I going to do without all of this New York City content? Well, you are in luck because on September 20th, that's right, and next Wednesday, we are premiering our YouTube channel. I told you I was growing up. Here it is. So not only will it be YouTube on that day, it will also be our Patreon that we talked about. But for the YouTube, we're going to have even more New York stories. We're going to have videos of my favorite places in New York City. So much amazing stuff coming at you. So if you are a YouTube fan, make sure you check out our channel. Save the date, September 20th. Going to post all about this on our Instagram. Send out an email. You will see it all. Our Patreon will also come out that exact same day. Seems like a good time for it. As you know, you guys requested the newsletter of everything I do in New York City in a week because it is so much. There will be a bunch of tiers. There will be other things besides that, but keep your eye out for that next Wednesday as well. The next Wednesday after that, even though we're on a break from the podcast, I am co-hosting a very, very fun party. It's called Ethereal Mischief. Now, the brains behind this is the wonderful cocktail artist, mixologist, bartender. I don't know what title she loves, but her name is Melissa Brooke. I met her and I was just so impressed by the cocktails she does. I asked her if she wanted to do a party together. She makes and creates custom cocktails based around astrology, the sun, the moon, the stars, all of it, more complex than what I can understand, but it will seriously blow your mind. Where do you think this event is being held at? Of course, it is one of my favorites and the location for our season 3 premiere party that you might remember, Bar Calico. So this event is a ticketed event. You're going to get 3 cocktails plus light bites. And then after you do this sort of group manifestation thing for the fall equinox, you pick out a 4th cocktail based upon that. So you can get tickets to this event on Eventbrite, on Bar Calico's website, on my Instagram and our website. If you're kind of into astrology and crystals and that sort of thing, this is right up your alley. And if you just love drinking, you know, you can find me there doing that same thing. So we can have some fun together. So be sure to check out Ethereal Mischief on September 27th. Next up after that is, of course, our season 5 premiere for They Had Fun. That is going to be October 18th. We will be coming back with another full season of amazing stories. And I know that I say this every fucking time, but really, guys, it's going to be good. Like, it's really going to be so good. New Yorkers, like I was saying, they just bring it. The stories are so good. And I just love hearing them. So that's everything. We've got the Patreon. We've got YouTube. We've got a party in September at Bar Calico. We've got season 5 coming at you October 18th. Are you overwhelmed by They Had Fun? Yeah. Okay, let's get into the Rachel's Recs. I am very excited for these. First up is mine. Second is yours. Okay, let's go. Number 1. Now, this is very specific, but follow me on this journey. You know that Sahadi's is on Atlantic Ave. Every time I'm in Cobble Hill, I have to stop by there. So I was on a bike ride a few weeks ago. Oh, Summer Streets, actually. And I was just kind of like sweaty and disgusting, and I didn't feel comfortable going and sitting down for a brunch. So I was like, okay, let's go to Sahadi's. Let's get some of the spicy hummus because it's one of my favorite things in the world. And as I'm walking around, they kind of have this sort of like sandwich counter, but it's these things called Saj, S-A-J. It's this like specialty flatbread that only they make, and it was delicious. And they kind of have like a Chipotle setup thing where you pick your base and all of your add-ons. You also can get like greens or grains. I'm not rolling with that non-carb life. That's not for me. I had the wrap. Of course, they have a bunch of meat options, but I got curried chickpeas. Then I got arugula, pickled cauliflower, cucumbers, sumac onions, tahini dressing, green garlic sauce. I mean, it was just like, I realized this is almost in like Guy Fieri territory of like flavor bomb in your mouth, but it is seriously what it was. And then They handed it to me. It had to weigh like 10 pounds. It was just massive. They just filled it to the brim. It was $9. Not like nothing in New York City costs $9. I just couldn't believe it. And then best part is they've got the setup outside on Atlantic Avenue. You can sit out some of the tables. You can watch Brooklyn stroll on by. Cannot stress this enough. I'm laughing at myself about how passionate I am about this damn rap, but it was so good. And you know that when I'm passionate, I got to bring it to you guys. I really mean it. Go to Sahadi's and go get one of these for lunch. They're just, ooh, I could have one right now. Okay, let's get into my second one. And this was your request. And now you asked for a coffee shop to work from with good Wi-Fi. Wonderful. Of course, I suggested one. It was Stumptown on 8th Street. It's a good spot. But what I really want you guys to get into your head that we've talked about on the show before, and that is working from fancy hotel lobbies, okay? It is so much better of an experience, and I promise you, no one is going to bother you. They don't care that you're there. They probably actually like that people are in the lobby because it makes the hotel look livelier. So I gave you a specific one, and one I'm recommending that I actually go to a good amount, so you might see me there, is the Walker Hotel on West 13th Street. It's just beautiful. It's not big. It's not super ritzy, but it is very, very nice. So you walk in, you go down these steps into the lobby. They have a beautiful fireplace. They have these velvet sofas. They have a little area off to the side by the concierge where there is tables and little banquettes. There's only like 3 or 4 of them. No one is ever at them. So I just post up over there. I get a cup of tea. They do not bother you. You can stay as long as you want. It's a hotel, so they've got great Wi-Fi. And if you're thinking, what do I do after that? Well, do not worry, because I've got it sorted for you at their little restaurant just a few steps away. It's called Society Cafe. They have a happy hour from 4 to 6, Monday through Friday. So you can go right over to that and get a drink after you finished your day of work. And then after that, they have live jazz that's going on in the lobby starting at 6 o'clock. So this is just a whole day I'm putting together for you here at the Walker Hotel on West 13th Street. I'm telling you, I know it's great sometimes to work at coffee shops and libraries and work remote spaces, and I do it myself too, but the best days are working at hotel lobbies, just like the Walker Hotel. That's it, guys. I know that is a lot of info coming at you. That is a lot of announcements. Most of all, don't forget to come back to us on October 18th for season 5. Let's get into my guests for today, because there's a third time I'm saying this. New Yorkers are just great, and this one is no different. I am very, very excited for you guys to hear this story and welcome my guests. They have asked for quite a few titles, and I'm going to give it to them because they deserve it. Okay, so let's get started. They are an international superstar, an NYC nightlife icon. They are the host of The Disco Den at Joyface, featured on this very podcast. And they also happen to be the resident drag queen at House of Yes in Bushwick, Brooklyn. Please welcome to the show, Madame Vivien V.
Hello, hello, hello. How are you?
I am absolutely fabulous, and I just love your intro. Most people say, call me an author. That's it. We're fine. But we've got like 17 words describing you. And it's just so perfect New York and so you. So I'm so excited to talk to you.
Thank you. Yes. Yeah, I'm larger than life in so many ways.
Well, okay. Speaking of being larger than life, obviously how we got you on the show is I saw you in the flesh at Joyface doing one of your wonderful performances, dancing on the bar, high kicking, all of it. And I was just so floored. All of my friends were floored. The energy, the elation in the room. I was just loving it. And I thought, I've got to have them. And here we are. So I would love to know a bit about Madame Vivien V. How long has this persona been going on? What got it started? Tell us anything you want.
Well, I've been Madame Vivien V for 10 and a half years.
Wow.
I started Labor Day weekend of 2012. I was the first performance of the very first Bushwick festival, which is a very renowned drag festival. It was so fun when it started. It was just a little grassroots thing, and now she's really taken off. Drag has always just sort of followed me throughout my life. I was always attracted to drag characters, Ursula the Sea Witch, or Robin Williams and Mrs. Doubtfire. I just loved this idea of drag. My grandmother, she was a clown for hospice. Her name was Cookie.
Oh.
One time I was with her, I was 15. She was like, "We got a gig." And I'm like, "Okay, great." And so we were going to this woman. She was looking after this woman who was in hospice. She put me in full clown makeup with a brown curly haired wig to cover my brown curly hair and these oversized suspenders and shirt and things. And I named myself Beeper. And I didn't speak. I just went beep, 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 beep. We get to the gig, and everyone was like, "Oh, she's so sweet." Because in my makeup, my grandmother had also put on these gorgeous lashes. And I was so annoyed at the time, being a 15-year-old trying to find my identity. And I remember being in the car on the way home, pouting in this clown face with these lashes and this wig. And my grandmother, she's like, "Well, what's wrong?" And I said, "Grandma, they all thought I was a girl." And she said, "Oh, well, you'd be such a lovely girl." And so it's just little things like that.
She cemented your future.
Is it in a way? Oh no, what really I think what cemented it is when I watched Tu Wong Fu, Thanks for Everything, Julie
Oh, of
Newmar with
course.
my mother and my older brother. And I was probably 11. My older brother was 13. And he turned to me and he said, "Don't get any ideas." And I didn't have any ideas. So I feel like I may have built my entire career out of spite, but whatever. I'm an icon.
So an icon. Someone sensed it. It was there. It was in your bones. You were destined to be this character, an icon, a drag queen, all of these things, and you're excellent at it. Like I love that your grandma said, "We got a gig." Like she sounds great.
She's fabulous.
So considering that this is the history that kind of brought you into doing drag and that you've been doing it, like in places like Bushwick and at House of Yes, that show, how long have you been doing that there?
I've been with House of Yes since 2016. I started as their door queen. I used to dabble in the after hours parties. I would go to House of Yes with my friend Stacy Spectacular at 3:30 in the morning. And we would gather as many of the very tipsy patrons as we could. And we would bring them to our after hours party and keep the party going for them.
Love it.
Some of the management, the leaders caught wind of it and they attended some of our parties. Then one of them came up to me one day and asked if I would like to join the club. And I took the gig. And then over time, they found out I was an excellent performer. And my favorite thing to do is MC shows. So now I'm House of Yes's resident drag queen, and I MC a lot of the cabarets and the circuses. And
what a New York job. Like, I can't think of many other places in the world where that could be like your profession. And I absolutely fucking love it that is your job and that is what you get to do. Okay. And so speaking, it's going to bring us in naturally to our question. So speaking of the fact that you have been a resident drag queen, and what a wonderful title. Let's get started with our New York questions. And that is always our number one is, when did you move to New York?
I moved to New York on April 1st, 2012, on April Fool's Day.
I love that you remember the exact date.
Yes. Oh, how could you forget April Fool's Day? Before that, I was just commuting to the city. I was living in New Jersey in Raritan Valley for the first 5 months. I was commuting 5 hours every day. I foolishly accepted an apartment before I even looked at it on a map. But, you live and you learn. Mistakes of being 21. I started looking for places in every borough. I looked at about 18 different places that winter of 2012. And then I found my home in Bushwick, and I've been here ever since.
Wow. In the same apartment?
In the same apartment.
That is a very New York fairy tale and not common story.
Honey, the things I've done to keep this place.
The little stint, we all have something like that, whether it's like maybe New Jersey or little apartment that was in a closet and we just had to stay in there or whatever. But I'm glad that you found your place and you stayed.
Yes.
So that leads us always into our second question, seeing as you came here in 2012.
Yes.
Why did you move to New York? What brought you here?
I can't remember a time in my life when I didn't fantasize about living in New York, even for as early as my memories go. Honestly, it must have been Disney. I saw Oliver and Company, and it was just that when they fly over and they see the skyline, I was like, oh, New York, like what a place. BC, I also back then, I was obsessed with Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and I thought the first thing I wanted to be when I grew up was a cartoon. I thought that you could go through some kind of transformation process and you become a cartoon and then you work in entertainment. And so I was like, well, if I'm going to do that, I want to go to that cartoon city. And funny enough, as a full-time, part-time woman, I am a bit of a cartoon.
Right, right. It's like you found your own way. God damn, New York. You found your own way to do it, even though it sounds hilarious. It's like a little kid being like, I'll go into cartoon trading. I mean, you have found your way and niche to make sort of that dream happen. And I got to say, like, while maybe that sentiment isn't always shared by everyone, the idea, the theme remains the same of you see a movie, you see a TV show, and New York just gets stuck in your head and it's like the place you have to get to.
Absolutely, absolutely. I have found myself in New York. I remember when I moved here, I would look, just seeing all the different cultures was so shocking. Seeing men holding hands was so shocking. It was a lot. I was just like, my God. Well, actually, seeing men holding hands is still shocking. Good luck getting that intimate with a guy in this city. But there's like a brief window where that could be the fantasy. In the meantime, just be lucky if you know their names. Yeah, New York has given me everything. It's taught me everything. It's like you're riding the best roller coaster with no line at the amusement park. It's just the best.
That's a good analogy. I have to agree. I also think it's the best. And it's going to lead us perfectly into our most important question, is seeing as New York City has helped you find a way to become a cartoon in real life. I have to ask you the biggest question. And that, of course, is Madame Vivien V. What is the most fun you've ever had in New York City?
It was November 13th, 2020. It was the day that President Biden was announced as the victor of the election.
Ooh, goosebumps. That was a wild day in New York City. I'm excited to hear this.
Wild day, honey.
Yes.
And something that happened right at the beginning of the pandemic, the process began right before the pandemic, is the New York Times came to House of Yes to interview some of the resident artists about nightlife, what the state of nightlife in New York is like. And then the pandemic hit. And so the subject changed. What is it going to look like as things come back? The article was set to come out on the 14th. So what happened? I remember it was a pretty warm day in November.
Yes, unseasonably. Yeah.
Unseasonably warm. One of those times where you're thankful for global warming. And I was in my apartment and I was renovating it at the time myself. She's good with a tool. So the place was just in shambles. And I told myself, all right, well, I have the full day. I'm going to spend the full day, tearing down these walls and doing these things. And then I just started hearing noise. There was all these horns going off and cheers and screaming. And I went to the window. Everyone is just, there's so much energy in this corner in Bushwick where I live. And then I looked at my phone and I was like, it happened. Oh my God, it happened. He was announced the winner. Biden was announced the winner. And I'm like, oh, well, too bad I have all this laundry and construction to do. And then I'm like, wait a minute, what are you doing? Get on your bike and get out there. I left all the chores behind, still have laundry to do. And I texted a bunch of my friends. They were all at McCarran Park.
I was there too.
You were there, and it was crazy. People were dancing so hard on that baseball field. It was just a dust cloud. Art cars coming in that you would see at Burning Man, taking over these sound systems. People are popping champagne everywhere. Yes. You're dancing with your friends. It was this wonderful moment where it was so many different groups of friends that were just in that area, and everyone was just so happy. And I partied with those friends for a minute, but And then I'm like, I need to see the rest of the city. And so I'm just riding up and down the streets of Williamsburg, and I head to the bridge, and I'm crossing the bridge, and I go into the city. And then I run into one of my first roommates of my home that I have. I run into them out there, and they're in the East Village, and they're elated, they're overjoyed, and they announce to me that they're pregnant. And this is also a whole other, just, oh my God, we had no idea. And so another reason to celebrate, made me so happy. And so after getting that joyous news, I'm like, all right, time for some homosexuality. And so I text all the gays. I try to find out where the gays are. And sure enough, there's a bunch of them up in Hell's Kitchen. So I get on the bike. As I'm making my way up to Hell's Kitchen, I'm on my bicycle, and I find myself joining a bicycle Black Lives Matter protest.
Oh my gosh.
I'm in like a bike brigade, and I'm like, yeah, I'll stick with this. This seems fine. This seems fun. This is enjoyable.
Yeah.
It also felt right. It just felt right that even though there was a victory, that we were still letting everybody know that this does not solve everything.
Yeah.
This is just another step. Everyone needs to remember that we are still fighting. We can celebrate today, but we are still going to be fighting for a world that is right for everybody.
The acknowledgement. Yeah.
Yes. And so we're in this bicycle protest, and it's weaving. So we pass through Bryant Park, and then we enter Times Square. And I might be a rare breed of New Yorker, but I like passing through Times Square.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm inside a television, and as somebody who wanted to be a cartoon, hell yeah, I love being inside a TV. But you're getting every kind of person right now. You're getting people that are cheering on the protest. You're getting people that are booing the protest. You're getting people that are cheering the results of the election. You're getting people that are booing the results of the election. And you're just in the center of this, and you're on a bicycle, and we're moving at a very leisurely pace.
Oh, just in the thick
And then
of
as
it.
we exit Times Square, we find ourselves now onto 8th Avenue. I love 8th Avenue. 8th Avenue was the first street I ever saw in New York. I got off of Penn Station. I remember looking both ways, and you just see city as far as the eye can see. And that is amazing to me, to think that people built this endless place.
Aww.
So we're going down 8th Avenue, and we hear these revving of these really, really masculine engines. And we find that our entire bike brigade is now surrounded by a motorcycle brigade who have decided to join our protest.
Okay, join, not
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So they're riding at a leisurely pace with us, but it sounds like they're gunning it, right? So the engines are revving. It's deafening. We're grateful, but also, please stop. And we ride that for a few blocks, and then I decide, okay, it's time to steer off, get to the homosexuals. And so I steer off, and I go find my friend's place somewhere off of 10th Avenue in one of those fancy luxury condo buildings, right? They're having the tail end of their party on one of their balconies. We're popping champagne. We kiss a few boys. And then you don't want to stay in Manhattan for too long. Well, it's not Manhattan. You don't want to stay in Hell's Kitchen for too long. So I decide, all right, I'm going to go back to Brooklyn. I ride my bike. We go back to Brooklyn. I'm at my friend's house. We're all just watching this speech and feeling just such a sigh of relief together. And I think, all right, it's time to go home. And as I get home, I have this friend named Michelle Joni, but she runs around the city in this thing called Glinda the Good Bus. And it's a magical unicorn school bus. It's such a trip. You get on, and the furniture is made out of stuffed animals. There's lights everywhere, and you can climb to the roof and you chill out on the roof, right? I get home, and Glinda the Good Bus is passing by my home. So I'm like, wait, I want to get on. And so I throw my bike in my apartment, and I get on Glinda the Good Bus. And there's so many of my other friends, a lot of friends from House of Yes that are there.
Aww.
We once again just rejoin the party that's happening around the city. And
stop.
Glinda the Good Bus is kind of like a House of Yes on wheels. It's all of the most entertaining people entertaining each other. And one of my dear friends, Peter Mercury, we party until we see the sunrise. And then we walk to our favorite little local bodega in Bushwick. And we see a stack of the New York Times, all in color. And on the front cover, it says Biden wins. And then you flip into two sections, and there's myself with Peter Mercury and all of the other House of Yes resident artists in full color, vibrancy, neons, all of it, talking about the importance of New York nightlife and what it's going to mean to have that back in our city, to provide spaces for people to express themselves, for people to dance, for people to fall in love, for people to find joy. It was oh God, it was just a very surreal 24 hours. You know, to go from thinking you're going to just do laundry to having all that relief to partying with everyone in New York City. And then you find yourself in the New York Times.
Yes.
You know, with all the results. It was crazy. It was so cool. And it felt amazing to send my grandparents a copy of that newspaper.
Oh, this show, I'm always crying. I mean, like, I can't even imagine what that felt like to come off of that high and to do that and to open up the New York fucking Times, and there you are. And like, do you know how
Yeah.
important that, yeah, you do, because it was you, but like, do you know how important that felt? That you like, you're like, you know, a lot of times New York people can feel like they don't fit in or they don't belong, or there's so many of us, no one's paying attention to me. And to just go through that whole experience with the whole city and then see yourself and be like, they can't get rid of me.
Right.
I am a part of this. I'm a voice in this city. I matter. Like, it had to feel so great on top of all of the fun. And like, you know, we can get past all of me choking up per usual, but all of the fun of like going around to all of these different spaces. And, you know, obviously I was here for that win.
Yes.
It was also, in my mind, one of the best days of my life. The energy of the city was unbelievable, and you're telling it in a great way. And I love that you just jumped on your bike and hit up every neighborhood and saw all of your friends and pop champagne. It's exactly what that day felt like. And most of all, it ended with you having this beautiful New York moment of staying up till the sunrise and seeing yourself in the New York Times. I love it. It's poetic. It's epic. It's so beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
It felt it to this day, it still feels great. Still feels great.
And I love that that was your story of the most fun. I mean, it hits so many great New York things, most of which to me is just like being involved in these incredible communities, like far and wide, hitting up all these different neighborhoods. It's so you, and I'm glad you stayed up till the sun came up. I love that. I think it's wonderful. Now I have to ask you, knowing that you have this incredible career in New York City and have made all of this stuff happen for yourself, I have to ask you our last and final question of the show. And that is, what is your favorite thing about New York City?
My favorite thing about New York City is that you can do anything here. You can do anything. Two questions I like asking people is how they spend their time and what their creative outlet is. And in New York, your creative outlet can be the thing that you spend most of your time on and be the thing that is the thing that provides you a living. It's so amazing that I'm a cross dresser. I make my living as a cross dresser. I live alone in Bushwick. I get to run around this city and make friends and meet people and create experiences for people. That's how I make my living. It's crazy. It's astounding the things you can do here.
I think it's such a great answer. You can do anything. I have to agree with you. There might be certain things that stop certain people or get in our way or some things like that. But if you want to, you can make it happen and you can do anything. And you are a perfect example of that. Just like you said, with your profession, you can do anything. And we, as New Yorkers, are all the luckier for it because we get to see you perform and do these experiences for us and get out there and party and have a good time and have some fun.
Hell yeah.
As we like
Hell
to do.
Yeah. As Auntie Mame put it, she says, life is a banquet and most poor suckers are starving to death. And honey, I have a full belly. I'm very grateful to New York.
Oh, that's so sweet. I love that. Thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you for sharing that really fun, exciting, deeply personal story. I loved hearing it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Most of all, thanks, New York. They had fun.
I'll chat at you later.